Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. Now today's video is the first part of probably three, I think, videos about this new polytunnel. And right at the very start, when I finished here talking, I'm going to run a couple of bits of old footage just to tell the story of the journey to getting to this point. Where we're at now is the foundation tubes are all in and ready to go. Can't be at the plot tomorrow, so it'll be Wednesday before I start assembling the frame. But anyway, we'll crack on with the video. I spent yesterday and a little bit of today clearing this bed, finally, moving all the rubbish that was along the fence out the way. It's all on that bed now. I'll show you that in a minute. So that I can move on with this. This bed tilts down this way and it also tilts down this way as well. So it's uneven and I want to site my polytunnel on here. Out the back here, now that those trees have all gone along that line, nice and light and there's no danger to my polytunnel. So I can start working on this. Ground is drying up nicely, so I can start digging some of the soil out from that back edge next to the fence and start to fill up. You can see the plank there, that's level going across, and you can see there's about a foot difference between one side of the tunnel and the other. And it's about 1.5 feet from top to bottom. So I'm just going to landscape that ground. I'll take the plastic off and just start cracking on with it. I'll do a little bit of digging a day. Now this is the area that I've dug and roughly levelled off over here. It needed landscaping. And you can see I've put 4 stakes in here for where the tunnel's going to go. And they are 12 foot wide and 18 foot long. I've started to measure out and mark out the area for the new polytunnel, and this is where I think a lot of people fall down. They will string out an area for where the foundation tubes or where the hoops are going to be and contain it within that area. Now you can see here what I've done is I've put 2 long length lines in front and back of the polytunnel, or side to side as they are, but I've continued that line beyond where that foundation tube will be, and the same for the length line across, extended that out. So this cross point here is where one of the foundation tubes will go, or where one of the hoops will start at the very end, and it's the same over here in this corner. Now I measured out the 2 long lines first. They're 12 foot apart. That's the width of the polytunnel. So they're parallel and they're continued way past, as I say, the length of the tunnel. So they're out of the way. And then I put this stake in here for the end of the polytunnel and carried it across and just loosely stuck that one in the ground because we need to get this at right angles. So what I've done is, using the 3-4-5 method, which I'll explain a little bit more in a minute, I've measured 3 foot along there and I've made a Sharpie mark on the line, and then I've measured 4 foot along across the tunnel here, made a Sharpie mark, and then you measure between that point and that point to get your 5, and that's 5 foot across. And then once I've measured that, I put the stakes in just to solidify that area, to help me to mark that easier. And then what you need to do is, I found that this last area, this 5 foot, was slightly under. So that means if I just come over here, I'm slipping and sliding, it's been raining. I needed to move this whole line 6 inches that way, and you can see that if I zoom in down here, I think there's the hole where I originally stuck it. So you can see that I've had to move that line across to get that proper right angle along there. Right, the 3-4-5 method is just a formula. You can use 3 foot as I've done over there. You can use 30 foot. in which case your next measurement will be 40 foot and then 50 foot. So if you're doing a very, very large area, say like you're setting out a whole allotment for beds or something, or you could, conversely, you could use 30 meters, 40 meters and 50 meters, but that formula will work to give you a right angle. And then you just shifty that last peg across, backwards and forwards. You could just pull that out and move it this way or that way until you get your 5 on the final bit of the formula back from over there. So just to recap, it's 3, 4, 5. And where those two lines cross, from there to there is 3 foot, where the Sharpie mark is. And from there to there is 4 foot. And then I moved this whole line up that way to get me 5 foot from there to over there. So it makes a big triangle. I'll just use this stake here to show you. So that stick across there is 5 foot. So I spent all the time early winter digging out this area. I must have come a good foot down in this area, and the soil that I dug out went down that bottom area and layered it up to give me a rough leveled area. It's near as damn it there, but the foundation tubes and the hoops themselves will help me take up that slack. But what I need to do now is start digging holes for the foundation tubes to go in and work along. And this is the difficult part, because you've got to make sure, if you can, that all the tops of the tubes are level, all the tubes are spaced equally. In this case, they've got to be 6 foot centres, and they've got to be 12 foot apart across the tunnel. So this is the bit, this is the important bit. Get this bit right and the rest of your tunnel will go up with a, you know, like a dream. And you can see the rough end of the tunnel there with that stake at the bottom on the floor, and the same up here. So by extending these lines over and above where I need them, I can now just take out these extra measuring sticks, and this allows me to dig underneath this intersection, which is where I need to put one of these foundation tubes. And we're going to have a quick look at a foundation tube. Okay, so here we've got a foundation tube, big solid strong tube, and there is a plate on the bottom, and it's a bit fiddly, but they're secured by these little iron bars. As I say, very fiddly, but once they're in, that gets planted in the ground, and you want about that much sticking out of the ground. And the rest will go underneath, and that stops your tunnel blowing away or lifting up. Okay, well, I've had an hour and a half at it, and I've managed to get all the holes dug for the foundation tubes. I'm not setting them in yet. What I need to do tomorrow is come back, get all the foundation tubes set up in holes, and I'm going to level the tops of them as much as roughly as I can, and get them set on that outside string line. The posts on this side just need to be touching this line here, and just touching that line, and then you can set the two at the top, this one and one across over there, and then you can work your way down the tunnel, down the length, and set them. Make sure the tops are all level, make sure they're all in line, and make sure across that they're 12 foot apart. So that's the next, and it's time consuming. It's putting the pole in, realizing it's not level, taking it out, adjusting the soil depth underneath, putting it back in. So it's a time consuming to get it right. It's quite time consuming. It'll probably take me all morning tomorrow, but it's worth doing and getting it right away from the start. I spent some time yesterday setting up layout lines measuring distances and digging the pits or the holes for the foundation tubes, which I've got in down this side here. Now these lines continued off past where the final tube needs to be, and past that way on the width and length. This allows me to alter it and see the full picture without fixing to the exact tunnel size itself. So what I've done, as I say, I've used those layout lines and measured along those to dig the pits, and those 4 posts are next to be levelled and put in. These 4 this morning I've levelled and put in the ground and backfilled with the soil. But this is where I vary slightly from the instructions that come with most tunnels. They will tell you to stamp that down. Now, if I stamp that down now, that pole is going to move every which way but loose, and it's quite difficult to keep it in the right position. And I found it also can make it difficult to put the hoops on later. That can be a challenge at some points. So I'm going to leave it loose. So now what I need to do is I've taken a measure from here all the way across to the next side of the polytunnel, the other side, and using that long piece of timber and a spirit level, I will get the top of that pole level, and then using the smaller bit of timber, I will level from foundation tube to tube all the way down to the bottom. This is before I fill the holes in, and then I will level across from that far corner tube to the bottom of here, and then I will level across all the tubes in every which way that I can, ensuring that it's level. Then after that, what I need to do is I need to check these layout lines one final time. I need to make sure that both lines are exactly parallel and exactly 12 foot apart to give me that final width. Then I can set the poles, the foundation tubes, touching the string in an upright position at 6 foot centres along that edge over there, and everything should be square, straight, level and true. So it's a bit of mucking about to get that right, but it's worth spending the time now. And again, I will just fill in the soil roughly, just to hold them in position, and then move on from there to the frame. And I'll show you what I mean with these posts here. This is loose, the soil is just put on top to hold it roughly in position, and I will tamp that down later when the frame is on and up. It will make the frame a bit wobbly going up, but I'm used to that, that's normal. So anyway, that's where we're up to now. So that's it, all these foundation tubes are now in, and they're all in roughly in position, but they haven't been stamped down yet, and I'll show you what I'll do with those once the frame is up. It does make putting the frame up a little easier because the tubes will move this way and that just to get things going, but it can make the whole hoop itself unsteady as it goes up. So you've got to be aware of that, and you know, it's not for the faint-hearted, and I would probably advise to stamp the tubes in if you can, but this is just my way of doing it. I prefer to do it this way. We'll get on with putting the frame up probably on Wednesday or Thursday this week. So that's it for now. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.